that God has removed his blessings from this current administration. And so the problems, they'll try and solve, but it's not possible minus God. This pain, in fact, one good thing about this pain, and I like the fact that we are going through this hardship, is because it's forcing people to think.
You like the fact that
now let's think. Because you see, when I stood up, when I died in 2017, I mean, you talk of serving people, nobody wants to listen. But people are looking at who has the money.
So you're not looking at it from an Azimio Kenya Kwanza perspective?
No, these are all the same gang, same characters. No change, nothing. If we're serious about change, and if we're serious about this country going a different direction, let us think deeply and look for those individuals who have the heart to serve.
So when you
let us change. Actually, let's overhaul the whole system. Kenya is not short of leaders. Let us overhaul the whole system. Even the national dialogue, people are presented. Not present their views, but it's going to just be between two individuals, two parties. Azimio, Kenya Kwanza. And they're going to divide that cake to fit themselves. Kenyans will be out.
Hello there, and welcome to Jadiel Kabiro Unfiltered here on Herman Manyora's YouTube platform. I've been away for quite some time, but I'm back with these political conversations which I hope will help our leaders make informed policy decisions and better political moves, because this is for our country. My guest today is a political analyst and organizing secretary of Foward Asili. He's Michael Mutinda. How are you doing today?
I'm fine, Jadiel.
We are talking about what is happening in this country. Everyone is complaining about cost of living, conversation about oil. You know, everyone is thinking, what is happening? Our president still traveling, despite people saying maybe enough is enough for now. They're saying they're bringing a lot of investments into this country. I want us to talk about where do you feel we are? What do you feel is the pulse of the country when it comes to the economic situation and the political situation we have now? Let's start from cost of living. Where do you feel we are? Because I've even seen images on Twitter, Unga, some brands are at 137. I don't know if that's true. Maybe people can tell me how they're buying Unga, where they reside. But what do you feel is the economic situation of the country from a general perspective as we start?
Yeah, so thank you for this opportunity, Jadiel. Truth be told, people are struggling to make ends meet. I mean, the cost of fuel is up there. And when fuel goes up, 217 now, everything else goes up. The taxation, you know, there's so much taxation in terms of what people are paying across board. So in general terms, people are struggling to make ends meet. People are crying. People are oppressed. Business people are saying people are not buying as they used to buy. And people have adjusted. In fact, those used to use vehicles now are parking their cars. Somebody has to think, if I have 1,000 bob, do I put in fuel or do I buy food? Because you're looking at the value, you know, what will maximize the value of the money that you have. So in general terms, things are thick, and there's a struggle, and there's a cry. Anything you hear about the debt, there are questions even about the debt. Yesterday I was in a meeting where with Dr. Abrams Ruto, the country director of IBP, International Budget Organization, International Budget Partnership, and he was saying 73% of our income goes to paying of debt. 73%. So that tells you we're only living on 27.
All the cash being collected.
All the cash being collected. And you have no problem in income. Income is there.
People are paying taxes.
People are paying taxes. The revenue, there's no problem.
KRA is doing a good job.
93%. Over 90%, they're doing a good job. But the problem is the debt deficit.
Then if you say that and you hear we're still borrowing from IMF, they have increased our borrowing limit, what comes to mind? If we are borrowing 73% goes into paying, what is the balance there?
Jadiel, allow me to look at this a bit from a philosophical point of view, and allow me to, set the foundation of, my thinking. First and foremost, I'm born again. I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. Secondly, God is a factor in our country, in the Constitution and in our national anthem. And then thirdly, this current administration came in courtesy of prayers. They said God was part of their system. But truth be told, we have God on paper, but not in behavior.
Come on.
Our
leaders are in church every Sunday. So what are you saying?
In fact, that's the other thing. We have, on Sundays, we have taken Sundays to be, a day of doing politicking in the name of interdenominational prayers. So are people really praying? And you see, Jadiel, we must recognize the fact that things of God are holy. And there's a difference between holy things and the common. Now, the problem here is that this administration came in, there was a lot of manipulation, actually with the church. Yeah. But you see, you cannot manipulate God. And you see, there's no way you can lead without the blessings of God. So what I'm seeing happening is that God has removed his blessings from this current administration. And so the problems, they'll try and solve, but it's not possible minus God.
So we go back to the philosophy now.
We go to the philosophy.
Yeah.
And so looking at that, because like I told you from yesterday, and the situation, the debt that is on our backs is quite heavy. And you're right, we are still borrowing more. Because you see, we must, there's those recurrent expenditures we must pay.
Yeah.
Must pay the debt. This is not money for free. So when you look at that, if 73% of your income, over 70% of your income is going to debt, and you have to live over with 30, how will you survive? We must feel the pinch. The problem is this, Jadiel. I think the rest of the Kenyans are feeling the pinch, but our leaders are still living large. They're still living large. And so you look at the huge wage bill. It's like they brought us into this mess, but they don't want to pay for it. They want the honorary monarchy to pay for it.
Then what does that mean in the foreseeable future? Because we're talking about promises, reality on the ground, and the foreseeable future. I was just talking to people here about the Argentinian president who has just been elected. They're calling him a madman. They're saying he's listening for advices from his dogs. He's walking around with chainsaws. Then if our leaders are living large and people are suffering, how much noise should be created on the ground so that they at least know the pinch that we are feeling down here?
Let me say this. A point comes when you feel the pinch that you have to make the noise. And I think that noise is rising up. You can only push people so far. The concept of leadership, first and foremost, is not man-made. There's a standard. And I remember there was a time I saw a discussion somewhere, and Sheikh Lethome, I think it's Supkem, but one of the Muslim leaders said, the problem we have in this country, and it's something that I agree with also, and the majority of those who call themselves good people in this country, is that the problem we have leaders who don't have the fear of God, who is the source of leadership, and have no heart of service. So we have politicians in places of leadership at the expense of leaders being in these places. Because a leader serves, bottom line. A leader looks at the interest of those he's serving. A leader does not serve themselves. But what are we seeing? And there's no way we can go around those basic principles of service, of servant leadership. If somebody does not serve, what does that mean? It means the low press. Is somebody serving themselves?
Then I would go to ask you about the governance part of President William Ruto. We talked about the situation in the country from a general perspective.
Yes.
But what is Ruto doing as the governor of this country, as the CEO of this country, the president he is?
Yes.
How would you assess his governance? Because he's saying we are trying to equalize things. We got things in a horrible state. We're trying to make things better. But before we go there, we must struggle for a while before we get to an economic recovery that we're waiting for. How would you assess his governance from the CSS he put into place to what he's doing now with taxation? And I've seen also something to do with NHIF, which they want to revoke and bring something new to 2.7% for everyone. What do you think he's trying to do if you look at him as our CEO?
He's trying to come up with a solution outside of God, which is not possible. It's not possible at all. I mean, I've looked and, I've been in this space for quite some time, by God's grace. And he came in trying, And interestingly, that what you are saying, he came in trying to say is a solution to the past mistakes of the previous regime.
Yeah.
But he was part of that previous regime. Most of these people, some of them were part of that previous regime. So they cannot say that we were not responsible for the mess then, and now, because we're not responsible, we're the solution bring us.
Do you really think he was part of the regime post-2018, post-handshake? Because he was still DP, but you could hear talks about him being sidelined. So how can you say he was part of government then?
I'm actually one of those people who doesn't buy that narrative. Because if he was being sidelined, why did he not come out? I mean, why did he not come out? You see, right now what's happening is that if you are part of a team and you don't like what this team or the direction this team is going, why don't you come out? It's like being in a matatu. And you're in this matatu, the driver is driving recklessly, the driver is driving in a dangerous manner, and then you are saying, because I'm inside, we shall just go. And then it crashes, you say, I could not come out because I was in the... No. You have got legs, you have got a mind. Come out and give the solution. So right now, because he's in it, this narrative of blaming the past regime should not arise. But you see, they're also borrowing. They say they will not borrow, but they are borrowing. They said they're going to bring down the cost of fuel. Has it come down? It's still going up. In fact, the other day, they just stopped because everywhere else around their neighboring countries, the cost of fuel had come down. So now it's only petrol that they have not touched. The diesel came down, but petrol remained the same.
Yes.
Yeah. But the question is this: with this greed, you see, if you have got a large wage bill in government, and your team members are greedy, how do you control them? So what I'm seeing in the future, it's more pain. And there's no he can come out of this, because he tried and is trying to do things outside of the one God who has set the standard of leadership, outside of wisdom. It's not possible. It won't work.
So what comes to mind when you see this conflict, especially in his side? We're looking at Cherargei going head-on with Murkomen, Sudi accusing Cherargei of playing dirty politics. They're supposed to be working. What would you attribute this confusion on their side to?
Those are the signs of things to come, and things are happening right now of a leadership that is joking around with God and joking around with people. Because let me tell you, Jadiel, when people are suffering, people cry. When people cry, they pray to God. When they pray to God, God hears their prayers. And you see, in this instance, when you see this administration that actually, I say, abused the name of God, used the name of God in vain, coming in place, they cannot go and ask God for blessing their leadership. And so what's the fruit of that? You see infighting. You see one person attacking the other. And already people are thinking about 2027. So people are amassing wealth, amassing money, creating their war chest for 2027. Because unfortunately in this country, again, we've given money value doesn't have. And so when it comes to leadership, we look at the person who has most money, who has deep pockets, and we think that's the person who is going to be a good leader. That philosophy of leadership has come to an end. Actually, it has expired because it's costing us as a country, because we don't ask ourselves, that person who is campaigning and dishing out money, where has he gotten that money? Okay, after he's dished it out, obviously he's going to return it. And then he's going to also return it times 2, because he also dish it out next time. So now with that philosophy, that thinking of leadership whereby we put money first has come to an end. Time has come to put service first.
Do you think people, will it reflect on the people? This is usually my question with so many people I host. I'm usually like, these are the same people that will elect these things. Yes. So do you think it will come to a point where people will start looking at service leadership instead of how much you bring to the table? Are we there yet as a democracy? People thinking of someone who can actually lead?
At the moment, I don't think we are there yet, but I think we are getting there. This pain, in fact, one good thing about this pain, and I like the fact that we are going through this hardship, is because it's forcing people to think.
You like the fact that we are suffering?
Yeah, now let's think. Because you see, when I stood up, when I vied in 2017, I mean, you talk of serving people, nobody wants to listen. But people are looking at who has the money, even within the church.
I haven't told them you were vying for Governor Nairobi.
Yeah, I vying for Governor Nairobi in 2017. And, when I was on the ground, and I would talk about my ideologies, what I want to do, what. No, someone will tell you, aya, mheshimiwa, umetuachia nini? Umetuambia story mzuri. You have shared very good stories, but please, tuachia nini? Now we are paying. Now we are, tuachia, what are you giving? Now we are paying. So let's feel the pinch. Let us feel the pinch, because this pinch at some point will force somebody to think, wait a minute, probably I've been looking at this whole issue of leadership from the wrong direction. Probably now I need somebody will serve me to enable me to get where I need to be. I'm a father. I desire my children to have a better Kenya. And definitely, what I'm feeling, what I'm desiring as a father, other fathers are feeling the same way. So, and there's no way, if any logically or sane thinking father would wish their child to be taxed the way we are being taxed right now. And so we must do something. And so this pain is good, because it will force us to think. And this thinking is what now, towards 2027, I think we're going to see a new crop of leaders coming up, because people are saying enough is enough.
Enough is enough. Now let's talk about bipartisan team, which is supposed to give their report about what they have agreed on Saturday, that is tomorrow.
Yes.
And they were talking about different issues, from IEBC to cost of living, people bringing in talks about counties, increasing counties and constituencies, CDF implementation, county ward implementation, development fund. What do you expect to come out from the Ichung'wah Kalonzo-led team?
So these are, you mentioned about same old leaders who keep re-electing. I mean, I don't expect much. This is the same political class that has gotten us into this mess. Yeah. So if the driver is messing, change the driver. But the same ideology has been in place. I mean, this mess has not just happened suddenly. They're the same people who have been at the driving seat. Yeah. Today it's Peter, tomorrow it's John. Or John exists, it's Peter. Peter exists, it's John. I mean, some of these guys.
So you're not looking at it from an Azimio Kenya Kwanza perspective?
No, these are all the same gang, same characters. No change, nothing. If we're serious about change, and if we're serious about this country going a different direction, let us think deeply and look for those individuals who have the heart to serve. So when you let us change, actually, let's overhaul the whole system. Kenya is not short of leaders. Let us overhaul the whole system. But you watch. What they're going to agree, some spaces are going to be created, Azimio fellows will be given some positions, then there's going to be a kind of peace, in quotes, and then things are going to settle. But the debt, they'll be funikiering each other, scratch my back, I scratch yours. No change, you watch.
So when you hear the National Dialogue Committee, they have met, they're talking about, office of the official opposition leader, you hear about cost of living. So you're thinking all this is a waste of time? Is this
just a waste of time and resources? By the way, I mean, the cost of living is not even on the agenda. I mean, people are still haggling on it. Yeah. For me, I'm tired. My generation, we are tired of the same games. These are just musical chairs. People changing, positions and what. They should just go home. And we have to organize ourselves to send these people home. Yeah. You watch, they're going to agree. Agree on what? Positions? To serve Kenyans? Where? If they agree, will that change the price of fuel? Will that lower the taxes? And we have got a debt. I mean, you have to pay IMF. We have to pay the debts. We have to pay.
I listened to Martha Karua, and she seemed as if she's disagreeing with Raila when it comes to protest and mandamano. She thinks it's time for action now. What do you think about that? Dialogue Committee comes up with something that doesn't address cost of living. Actually, Kalonzo said they will not sign if it doesn't, but they come up with something that doesn't necessarily satisfy Kenyans. Should Kenyans go back to protest? Because people are asking for some radical change now.
Yeah, radical change in the mind. Not to destroy stuff and go in the streets. Radical change in the mind. Because from the mind then comes to the heart. From the heart comes to action. So it's radical change from the mind. The way we think about leadership. And what constitutes of proper leadership. What kind of leadership do we want as a nation? If I talk about national dialogue, Jadiel, how national is it? When you have got just 2-3 parties just discussing up there. Kwani is Kenya about those 2-3 parties? I mean, surely. Oh, really? I mean, even
your party hasn't been represented. I would want to know that.
We are not even represented. You are not even representation. Look at the discussion around the finance bill 2020, how it went, and how people gave their views and everything. In fact, 90% of those who presented their views did not want it. But what happened at the end of the day? Like even the national dialogue, people have presented their views, but it's going to just be between two individuals, two parties. Yeah, Azimio, Kenya Kwanza, and they're going to divide that cake to fit themselves. Kenyans will be out. Yeah, so it's high time we have a radical change from the way we think about leadership. And the best way to do it, let's go back to where in fact, I say, let's stop using the word at when did the rain start beating us. The question now should be, when will the sun start shining? Yeah.
Stop focusing on
the past. The mess is there. So let's start correcting the mess. And we start correcting the mess by changing our mindset about leadership. Let's get the right leaders in place. We know them. Yeah, we know them. Let's get that system of right leadership.
When we say we focus on what is to come, we stop focusing on what is to what past us. But you see President Uhuru Kenyatta back. He was in Mwingi, I think. He's back. He's still saying, they are blaming me. They are saying this, and we know them. What comes to mind? Because you look at this person who's supposed to have retired, still in Azimio politics.
In fact, for me, it's a tragedy when I hear people saying, maybe Uhuru was right, and we should get him back. That's a tragedy. It's like the other day when Honorable Raila was quiet, people are saying, Baba, you're too quiet. It's a tragedy. I mean, seriously, are they the only two men who have got heads in this country? Even me have a head, you have a head. And how many men have heads and women have heads? I mean, leadership that is not just a preserve of 2 or 3 individuals in this nation. And I think that's the mistake we have. We don't believe in ourselves. Yeah. We don't believe that we are also stakeholders in this country. You know, like I said, as a father, and as many fathers out there, we are stakeholders in this country. What kind of Kenya are you going to leave for the next generation? So for me, it's a tragedy. Those guys, they have been there. They have actualized themselves. Most of them are extremely wealthy, and they are doing well for themselves.
Don't you think it's people themselves that want them there? Raila will pull his crowds, and therefore he's representing the millions of Kenyans that voted for him. When you hear people say, mbona amenyamaza, and we voted for him. Same to Uhuru, people believe he's kind of the kingpin still of Mount Kenya. Maybe he is. Don't you think people asking where he is means that people have put a lot of hope in those particular people, and therefore they deserve to speak for them?
Then it means you have not suffered enough. Let the suffering continue. Let the pinch continue. Let's be pinched until we cry out. You know, because you see, at the end of the day, and God forbid, let's say this country crashes. Do you think these guys will be around here? It's me and you remain here. Yeah, because I know you, do you have a farm in Australia? I mean, these guys have got properties outside of this country. These are guys who can just jump into a plane or chopper and go when this country is burning. Yeah. So a time has come because these guys have reached. Let them, in fact, they will not move because they want to continue to eat. You see, the thing with greed, nobody can stop being greedy. He has to be stopped, or they have to be stopped. So let's stop them. Because we gave them the chance. Look at where we are right now. We are crying. Our children are crying. The pain is increasing. So the thing is this. Let us be radical in our thinking. Let us change the ball game. And let's go back to the drawing board. It's good we're having this conversation now. And it's good this pinch is now. And the pain is now. Because you've got 3 or 4 years before 2027. Then we can do something. So for me, I'll say, look, hope is in another place, but not in the current political class.
From the president to the opposition leader?
No, not there.
What do you think the president can do now if he really wants to change this country? Because he says he wants to. You remember Mambo ni Matatu when he was talking about state capture and people that are, making his work difficult. What do you think he should do if he wakes up tomorrow and says, I want to fix things? Where should he start?
You should go back to God first and foremost and repent. Because that Mambo Matatu statement, first and foremost, does heaven belong to thieves or terrorists? Yeah, does it? And what powers does he have to send people there? First, let him go back to God. Let him go back to the one who gave him the position. To the one who gave him, if it's God who gave him that mandate, let him go back there. Repent, change his ways, fear him, then have a heart to serve the people. And God will give him wisdom and ideas. Yeah. And by the way, Kenya has got people who have got wisdom and ideas of how to serve this country. Yeah. I mean, there are enough individuals. I mean, if I can mention a few, like even Herman Manyora. I mean, there are wise people who are there. I mentioned about Ruto. Wise people who are out there. And it's not that we're short of ideas in this country.
But this is a shareholders government. So, you can't...
So if the shareholder government, who owns the company? It's God. You cannot be a shareholder and ignore the owner. And you see, actually, that's a mistake. Even the thinking that you can be a shareholder, ignoring the owner, it means you're putting yourself, to face the owner. And the owner can kick you out anytime. It's a privilege. To serve is such a privilege. And by the way, all those who are in leadership position should know one day they'll give an account to the owner of this nation, to the owner of the whole earth, to the owner of you and I. Yeah, there's one who owns. And this business, this monkey business of thinking you can do things outside of his standard, his way of doing things, is foolishness. And so he should go back. The leaders should know it's an honor, it's a privilege to serve. And so they should serve the people of God. They should serve this nation. They should have the fear of God. If they do that, I'm telling you, things will change.
Governors called the current administration as being populist, playing populist games because of this El Nino funds. Yes. Gachagua says with this bus, comes back and says, who told you we're going to give you money? Yeah. What do you think about this populist game that has been termed by different stakeholders outside government, that these people are just playing things that wanting people just to be happy, just saying things for the sake of it?
It's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. If I call it manipulation. Because you play the game, but are people happy? I mean, let's talk about the El Nino. The meteorological department told us there's El Nino, there's El Nino, there's El Nino. In fact, I saw something in the news. Families even moved. Then our president council says there's no El Nino, and let's thank God for our prayers. You see that thing. The spiritual governs the physical. We joke around with the spiritual, and that's a tragedy. That's a tragedy. So there's no way we can talk about what we talk about, the hope, and talk about leadership outside of God. And so the playing around of these things, whereby you find that we mention things that are outside the preserve of human beings and joke around with them, because what is populism? If what you mention things are popular, okay, make people happy, but are they happy? Are they happy? If people are crying, at the end of the day, that narrative will come to an end. Yeah, the populist narrative will come to an end, because you will cheat here, lie there, and eventually people will say, wait a minute, whatever you're telling us is not working out. Because you told us that life is going to be sweet. It's not sweet, it's become bitter. And, you and I and, human beings are created in the image of God. And for me, populist kind of politics never washes with God. It's manipulation, which is very unfortunate. Yeah.
Well, what does the future hold for us? If you continue in this same trajectory, you're looking at different politicians coming together, lying to Kenyans openly about different things. You hear about oil saga that is happening. Of course, the government defending it very, very well. and then you look at the cost of living, national dialogue, politics versus governance, everything intertwined. Everyone is thinking, what will happen tomorrow for my children? Will I be able to take this KCP performers to high school? What does the future hold for us?
The future, it depends. Let me say it depends on the choices we make today. If we can come to ourselves and agree that things are not good and we need to change, and we want to be part of that change, beginning with the way we think and perceive leadership, then the future is bright. But if we allow the status quo to continue, if we say, look, things are not too bad and things will improve, then the future is bleak. So I see we've got two ways. Either we go back to the ways of God and, respect one another and serve the people and serve one another, or continue the monkey business thinking that we know it all, that we can play populist politics, and we just go down the hole. I mean, Kenya will be the first one to go down the hole. We have got our neighbor here, Somali. Yeah. We have got North Sudan here. I mean, countries that have not been serious in terms of leadership. I mean, we can easily end up, we're not special. I know sometimes people think, Jadiel, that we are special, that God loves this country so much, that we are so special, nothing bad will happen. No. if we don't give the respect, we have got in our constitution, we have got in our national anthem. If it does not influence our behavior, then the future is bleak.
So you're saying this government that rode on belief of God has turned away from God, or are you saying it was more of hypocrisy?
It was hypocrisy. They were just hypocrites.
It's not turning away.
Yeah, no, these guys, from what you are seeing from the word go, they pretended that they were working with God. Kumbe they were not. And you can see the fruit. Because if they were, Jadiel, let me tell you the truth. If they were, when you look at, because they came in, there was a debt issue. The first thing they would have done is to tell Kenyans, look, Kenyans, okay, we first apologize. We have not managed our resources well. And because we've got this debt issue and we need to pay back this debt, where all of us are going to squeeze ourselves and repay this debt. We're going to come up with policies and mechanism of increasing our revenue to pay this debt. Yeah. Then that would have said, okay, now we're going the right direction. But what did we see? Is whereby a section, and and I'm talking about the political class, the crib, here, up here, saying, we are going to pay the debt, but they're not, for them, they're not in it. Yeah. Is the honorable monarchy feeling the pinch? Them, they're living large. They're traveling all over. And you see, that in itself shows a disconnect between the leader and the led. Whereby the leader is in another world, the led is somewhere else.
There are two things that come to mind. When Ruto was campaigning, believing he will do everything differently than he's doing now. And then he comes into power, he's with IMF, World Bank, GMO, all these things, taxation.
Yeah.
Was it that he didn't know what he was saying while campaigning, and therefore he came into power and realized, well, I didn't know this is how government is? Or was he simply lying? What could that be?
Our president is sharp. He's sharp, and he's not a new player into this game, and so he knew these things. He's intelligent. He knew about the GMO. He knew about the LGBTQ. He knew about the debt. He knew about everything. He knows, But he realized that for me to get what I want, I'll play the populist politics. I'll speak what people want to hear. I'll manipulate their minds. And once I get it, I'll turn. And that's what exactly he did. Once he got the seat of power, he stand. I mean, is he going around the churches that he used to go before? Is he going around those churches? Now he's creating those interdenominational prayers where people are coming. But is he addressing the issues at hand? And you see, this is what I'm talking about. You see, you can't lie. Even if you flip, the flipping, use a statement to Ajingo Alisha Kenya. It's true, Alisha. Yeah, Alisha. No, nobody is a fool. You see, the thing about pain, the thing about when you can't afford a meal, it's not a lie. It's a truth. And you have to confront it. So the truth is, right now people are suffering. Right now people are not happy with this administration. And if it does not change, unfortunately, it will just go away.
So let's wrap up with a message to Kenyans, because there are people listening to you right now. I didn't know this conversation was going to be that spiritual as it has been. But there are people listening to you right now and thinking, well, what can you tell us as Michael Mutinda, who's now a pastor? I've ordained you. What can you tell these Kenyans?
This is what I can say to Kenyans. Genesis 1:1 is very clear. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. It's God creating the heavens and the earth. From there, get the principle. The spiritual governs the physical. What I'm saying is this. Matters leadership. There's the one who has set the standard. And so I want to tell Kenyans, if we want to enjoy prosperity, if we want to enjoy peace, if we want to enjoy safety, there's only one way. And that is approaching leadership with the fear of God and a heart of service. Outside of that is just misery, oppression, and we finish ourselves here. So we have got two ways. We have to choose. Are we going to do it the godly way, whereby we're going to pursue peace, safety, and prosperity, as captured in our national anthem? These things. Our national anthem is our prayer. It's captured there. Yeah. Are we enjoying the fruit of our labor? Right now, the taxation is not even enabling us to enjoy our fruits of our labor. And we continue like this. We heard about the haircuts. Yeah. Haircuts in our banks, in our bank accounts. So for us, we have got to choose. We have to decide. Are you going to go the godly way or the worldly way that what you're expressing right now of manipulation, of populist politics, leadership? whereby people are just serving themselves, getting wealthier at the expense of majority of Kenyans. So we have to choose, and it begins with our mind. We have to change our thinking. So we have to be radical. So we change our mind, change our hearts, change our action. And we have got leaders. Please, Kenyans, you know those leaders in the community, in the neighborhood, in the chamas. You know people who have a heart to serve. Those are the leaders to choose. Don't choose these guys who come with money.
We know, we just pretend, we ignore.
No, don't pretenders.
Yeah.
Pretenders, let's leave them alone. Because now we can see the fruits of pretenders. Let us choose those genuine people, the men and women who have a heart to serve this nation.
All right, thank you so much for tuning in. This has been Michael Mutinda. He is a political analyst for the Asili Organizing Secretary and ordained pastor, as I have ordained him. But thank you so much for coming to this conversation. It's been really, really nice. Hope I'll have you again. For everyone that wants to reach him, what's your socials? How can people reach you if anyone wants to talk to you?
For me, if they want to talk to me, of course, they can reach me through you.
Yes.
But my ex, Mutinda, it's just Mutinda.
All right.
At X, yeah.
Thank you so much for tuning in. This has been Jadiel Kabiro Unfiltered. Until we do talk again, have yourself a lovely rest of your day.